Hi Flosstube, I'm Nancy, Sew Cozy Stitching. I'm also Sew Cozy Stitching on Instagram if you would like to go over there and follow me. Today is October 31st, 2020, and it is Halloween. Yay! Um, I am not doing anything tonight. Usually I go trick-or-treating with my grandkids. My husband is usually out of town working, and which is is no exception for this weekend. He is gone. So, and my grandkids were doing different things than regular just trick-or-treating this year. Because of COVID, they were doing some different things. And so I just decided to stay home tonight. And I was kind of a Scrooge because um, I don't know that we really get trick-or-treaters on our road anyway, because I usually am not home for Halloween. But when I do get home, there's no lights on in our neighborhood. And so I didn't buy any Halloween candy. I didn't even buy any Halloween candy to have in our house to eat. I bought no Halloween candy this year. I just, I don't eat a whole lot of candy anymore, not since I quit working. And if I have it in the house, then my husband just eats it, and he eats it until it's gone. And so I decided this year I wasn't even going to buy any candy, so I didn't. Um, let's get into what I've been working on. I'm going to show you my fully finishes that I had this month, my finishes that I had this month. I'm going to show you what I've been working on the month of October. Um, and I have a couple of quilts to show you that I've been working on in October. And then I'm going to show you my November plans. So let's get into this so we can see if we can make this into not a very long video today. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is I showed this in my Under the Bed Box video a couple of weeks ago. It is by Homespun Elegance, and it is called, it's part of their delivery series, and I think it's either like autumn delivery, harvest delivery, or fall delivery, something like that. I finished stitching this in 2018, and when I pulled it out to show you um, in my previous video, I decided to fully finish it. And I was watching Flosstube for the Love of Stitches. I was watching Tina, and she had done a similar finish, and I thought, I've got some extra quilt blocks that didn't go into a quilt, and I am just going to do what she did. And so I just took a couple of quilt blocks, sewed them together, stuffed them to make this roll, and then I just wrapped my stitched piece around the roll and pinned it on the back. And love it. Turned out cute. All right, the next thing I finished was from the punch needle. I didn't grab any charts or any books or anything, so bear with me. It's the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, and it was the Christmas winter issue of 2017. And I finished the Sewers. It was the Sewers. It was called Stitcher's Christmas Sewing Roll. Sorry, Stitcher's Christmas Sewing Roll, and it was by Sub Rosa. And I showed you as I was working this on as my on the go piece. And I finished it, and then I finished it and fully finished it. There it is. Love it. It's so cute. It was a really fun stitch. And then I fully finished it the same way that they did in the book. And I just put a skein of DMC floss, and then I'm going to get some red DMC and put on that side. I just haven't been to the store to get any. So, and I just have it rolled up and tied, and I have it in my little stitching box that's got other sewing boxes that got other sewing things in it. Okay, my next finish is was the chart from Blackbird's Designs Summer, Autumn, and Winter. And I had started stitching this. Someone let me borrow the charts, and since then they've been re-released, and I have purchased them all. But I had started stitching the summer one, and it was a unicorn chart, so I wanted everything to be perfect on this, when I stitched this, because it was something that I had been wanting to stitch for a long time, and it was a unicorn chart. So I coffee and tea dyed some fabric, and I baked it. And sometimes when I do coffee tea dye, sometimes I bake it and sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't, but if I want more of a rustic look, then I will. So I did tea and coffee dyed it, and then I put it in the oven and baked it a little bit. And when I did that, the fabric turned kind of like burlap, I would say. That would be my guess. It was still soft. It wasn't stiff like, a lot of Aida is stiff. And what I do with my stiff Aida, when I get it and it's really stiff, then I usually soak it in water and it softens it up. And then just by holding it, and that softens it up. So really, I don't mind stitching on Aida, because to me, it's not, I can make it soft, that it's not, the yucky stiff Aida that we had back in the day. Anyway, that being said, this came out. It wasn't stiff, but it was like, it felt like burlap. I don't know. I just didn't like the texture of the fabric. But I started it anyway. And I stitched on it. I had a lot done, and I just hated it. I was just hating this. And I really wanted to love this project, because I had wanted this chart for so long that I really wanted to love it. So I put it away for a while. And I thought, I'm going to put it away, and then when I pull it out again, if I still just don't like the fabric, I'm going to just be done with it. I'm going to be done with it for now. I still plan on stitching it. In fact, it's not in my immediate plans, but maybe next summer I'll start it. So anyway, so I had this piece that I still had quite a bit stitched on, and I thought, well, I don't really just want to throw, because I'm throwing the Aida out. It's horrible Aida. I'm just going to throw it in the garbage. And so I didn't really want to throw all that stitching I had done away. So I thought, okay, what can I do with this? Well, then I was watching Mischievous Stitchers, Lori, on Flosstube, and she had the same problem with a piece that she was stitching on. She liked the colors. She loved the chart. She just didn't like the fabric. She didn't like the colors on the fabric that she was using. So she chose to restart it, and she took what she had been stitching on. I think there was parts like maybe the sled hadn't been finished stitching on. She hadn't finished on one of the reindeer. I can't remember on what, but she hadn't even finished the motif she was working on. But she put it in a hoop, and it turned out to be a really cute finish, So I thought, that's what I'm going to do with the summer from Blackbird's Designs. So that's what I did. And as you can see, the bird is not finished stitched. I didn't finish him. I just took what I had. I did have a thread that was hanging out here, so I put it in the back and went through some stitches and just cut it off, and I didn't even bother finishing the bird. I bought a wooden frame from, I think, Michael's, a wooden hoop, and I just painted it, and then I used the brie wax on it and tore some homespun and tied it around the top along with some jute. And that's my back. This is the first time I've ever done a finish like this, so my back is not perfect, but it doesn't matter. My next one will be better, and I love it. It turned out really cute. So yeah, so if you have one of those projects that you just are ready to toss and aren't going to finish it, take the piece and make something out of it. You can make a pin pillow or a needle book or something like this. So, and it just sits right there in my tray. All right, the next thing, I have a couple of finishes. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to grab one. Okay, so I had a couple of finishes, and the first one I'm going to show you is called Autumn Autumn Bouquet from Blackbird's Designs. I showed you a start, and I was struggling on it when I first started it. I started it as a sal with my friend Frankie, and believe it or not, we started at the end of September, like the last week of September, and we both finished it on the same day in October. This is just this past week. How often does that happen that you start a sal and finish a sal on the same day? She finished hers during the day. I finished mine at 9:30 at night. But here is my finish. I used Victorian motto threads. I was struggling with this part, with the first part, because the colors I picked was my Victorian motto threads, but they were closely resembled the called for colors. But as I started stitching, I ended up changing the letters to 433, DMC 433. And then I started stitching in here following the symbols that matched the colors, and I didn't like it. And that's when I ended up putting this away for a while. And because the colors just don't make sense in there, and they don't look like the picture on the cover. So when I picked this back up this past week, and finished it. But what I started doing is I followed the picture. So whatever color it looked like in the picture is the color I stitched that with, stitched it. It is stitched on 18 count vintage country mocha using one strand of thread. And I plan on framing this and hanging out on my sampler wall. It's one I'm going to keep out all year round. It's pretty. I love it. Yeah. So there's that one. The next finish I had, is Hilda. I don't have the chart for this one either. I've already put it up. It was called Hilda Blue and Sunflowers 2, I think is what the name of it was. With Thy Needle and Thread. And here's my finish. I used all of the DMC, called for DMC colors, or the conversion of I converted them to DMC, but the called for colors with the exception of the purple, the Boo. And that is, I did it a darker color because I didn't feel like because it was a light purple and I didn't feel like it would show up on this fabric. And I don't know what the fabric is. It's just a scrap I have from another project I kitted up. So yeah, and I really like this. This was my morning stitch, and I got it all finished up. And then I have enough left on the end that I plan on using the same threads, and I'm going to stitch the Witch's Brew, but I'm not going to do it this year. It will be put into my fall box, my autumn box, and I'll work on it next year. And I won't fully finish this year either. No time for that. There's too many plans in November. Okay, my last finish I had was Casting a Spell by Blackbird Designs. And I do have the box for this. I have not painted the box yet though. But I did finish all the little pieces, and I think I've showed some of these before. So what I did is I was stitching this on. It was I don't know. It's 14 count Aida, and to really make it fit in the box, I needed to have 16 count Aida, or 32 count fabric, or 16 count Aida. And so they would fit in the box in the spaces, but they would be really tight. And so what I've done is I went through and I coffee dyed it. So I coffee dyed it because by doing that, well, first of all, I wanted to tone down the color of fabric, because the fabric color was, the colorway was natural, and it was Aida. So it was almost a white color, and I wanted to tone it down. And so after I had them all stitched, I threw them in coffee. So it even like changed the orange colors so they weren't so bright. And these are all just stitched on scraps that I had left over from other projects. So, and there you go. So there's a finish. I won't fully finish these this year, just because Halloween is over as of tonight, and I'm ready to do my November stitching anyway. Okay, so then I have 2 whips to show you. Actually, I have 3, but we'll get into that one in a minute. My first one I want to show you is, I started this one on October 1st as part of the Great Pumpkin Style, and I worked on it on and off all the way through the month of November. And the last time I showed you, I did have this pumpkin finished, but that was it. So this is where I got to in the month of October. I am stitching this on 18 count caramel by Seraphim Fabrics. So I back stitched around the white on that pumpkin because it wasn't showing very well. And I think I had maybe a couple of doodads finished last time. So I got quite a bit done on it. I'm going to say I'm pretty close to halfway done. There's the cat with the moon behind him, a house, and a tree. And then it will be done. This is also going to be put away for the rest of, for this year. I'm not going to stitch on it anymore. And then when I feel like pulling out some fall stitching, probably won't be till September, August or September, but next year I will work on that one. And the next whip I have been working on, I started this one on October 7th. Oops, pulled out too much. And it is Halloween at Hollyberry Farms. And that is, and there's a horrible glare, but this is a horrible picture. And I had looked at this chart several times, and I thought, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's, and I think it was just because of the picture, because then my friend Frankie was stitching it, and she had sent me a picture of her stitching, and it was gorgeous. And then I've seen a couple of people on Instagram stitching it, and their stitching was gorgeous. And so I thought, so I bought the chart. I had the fabric for it. It's 18 count Witching Hour by Seraphim Fabrics. And this is what I got done in the month of October. And this fabric, it's a little bit darker than what it's showing. The house does really, it does show. I was really worried as I stitching it that the house wasn't going to show. And if it wasn't, I was just going to go back and back stitch it. And I still may, but I'm going to wait till I get all the other elements of it done. So I'm using the DMC conversion. So the house is, the color I chose was 3866. The other thing I changed is the conversion, the DMC conversion for the pumpkins to me wasn't orange enough, so I'm using orange on that. And then the stairs or the steps here did not show up with the color that that it was called for. So I decided it's old and crusty and spooky anyway because it's Halloween, right? So I used a gray to make concrete steps. So, and I worked on this on and off through the month of October. So really, I only worked on 2 things. Well, I worked on 3 things for the month of October, really. Just kind of switched, worked a few days on one and then worked a few days on another, and there you go. All right. The other thing I have been working on is quilts. The first quilt I want to show you is, excuse me, dropping stuff. Okay, the first quilt I want to show you is, the pattern is called Pumpkin Seeds by the Pattern Basket, I believe is the name of the company. And I've had the pattern for a long time, so I don't know if you can buy them. I ordered it through the mail, and I don't know if you can buy them off of Etsy or if she has a website, but it's called the Pattern Basket. And this is what I did. Let's see, hopefully you can see it. This fabric that I used for the pumpkins was leftover scraps from another quilt. And the pattern, the original pattern, is 4 pumpkins, or 3 pumpkins across and 4 pumpkins down. And I chose to make it bigger, so I did 4 pumpkins across and 4 pumpkins down, so it's square. So it's a nice size lap quilt. And I bought this fabric for the backing. Let's see if I can hold it up together. Let's see if you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. Anyway, so I think that will be really pretty on it. And this is flannel. It's so soft. Right. The next quilt I have been working on is Quilter's Cottage. Anything Lori Holt comes out with, Nancy does. I love her patterns. I love her quilt patterns. I love her cross stitch patterns. And when she comes out with something new, I usually buy the kit. I buy, a lot of times I buy the fat quarter bundle, but I'll also buy the kit. And I started this back, I believe, in June or July. I think it was July. They had a quilt along and I started it. And I got the house and the trees done. And then I just had other things I had a couple of projects I really needed to get done. There was one that was time sensitive and if quilting projects. So I put this on the back burner. Let me show you what the quilt looks like. Sorry, my lighting is not good. Sorry. Anyway, so I put this on the back burner. But then there's going to be, she came out with a new quilt, a new book. And I will show that in a minute. It's right there. And that quilt along for that one starts November 10th, I believe. So I want to start that one. So I want to get this quilt done. So I pulled it out and I've started working on it again. I'm going to show you, my dog's right here. He's crazy. Okay, so I'll show you, this is a big quilt. I hope I can show it to you. Let me move that down a little bit. So I'll have to do it in sections. So there's a tree, and the house. I can't tell if I'm getting the whole thing in there or not. And then another tree. So I have that down. So then I picked it up and I did the flowers that go under the house. And there's these flowers, and then there's those flowers. So I did the flowers, and then I did the cobblestone walkway. And then I went to sew this whole row onto the row with the house and the trees, and it was short. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Apparently, you need to read the instructions. So what I had done is I had sewed the flowers together, but I had not put the sashing in between these flowers. And then I had sewed the flower part onto the cobblestone, and I had not put the sashing there. Well, then come to find out, I had not even put the sashing up here. So I had to unpick this flower block from this flower block, and unpick this flower block from this flower block, and then unpick this flower block from this, anyway, and so forth, clear down the quilt. So I had to unpick a lot of it. Anyway, so then I went in, made sure I had all my sashing in, and then just this past week, I added a picket fence to it. So there's the picket fence added to it. So anyway, I have so what I have left on it is I have these, let me move this back up. I have these 3 blocks to do, and they're hanging on a clothesline, and then I just need to put the border around it, and then it will be done. So I have 10 days to finish this before the next one starts. And yeah, I'll get it done. The rest of it's not going to be hard. I've finished, I think, most of the quilt that has the hardest parts done. Lori's quilts are not hard. They are very, very easy. They just have a lot of pieces in them. So there's a lot of piecing. But I love everything she does, so I'll do it. So anyway, on November 10th, I'm going to start this quilt. And prim and proper. So I ordered the kit. So I have all the fabric that comes in the kit. And more fabric. All those colors. Anything Lori Holt. And then it came with the vintage trim that goes in the quilt. And then I bought the backing fabric for it also. So I'm excited to start that one. This is what the quilt looks like. Prim and Proper by Lori Holt. I think I have every quilt kit for every quilt that she's come out with. Plus I have fat quarter bundles of all her fabric lines. You can't go wrong with Lori Holt. All right, so on to my plans for November. I'm going to start with this. So what I do for the months is I print this calendar, and then I list up here my projects I'm going to work on for that month. And then what I do is, as the month goes on, and I don't write on this every single night, but every 2 or 3 nights I'll write down what I've worked on each of these days, just to kind of see my progress and how much time it takes me to stitch certain aspects of the project or whatever. I've already written in what I plan on stitching from the first until the 9th, because I know what I'm stitching on those days. So so I have, for November, I have 3 projects I'm going to be working on. A Thanksgiving Day start, my morning stitch, which I finished the Hilda one, so I've actually started working on a different morning stitch, which I'll show you in a minute. And then my Hallmark stitching, which I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so my morning stitch, since I finished Hilda, let me show you my project bag. I made these is using placemats from Walmart. These are the Pioneer Woman placemats, and I just used 2 placemats. They're already quilted, they're already finished. I just sewed them together. Anyway, so since I finished, so I picked out a new morning stitch for these last couple of days in October, and this is what I'm planning as a morning stitch for November, is my stockings. And since I needed something as a morning stitch for the end of October, I just went ahead and started on this. So I'm working on Slater's stocking. I started this back, I don't know, September, and then when I started my October stitching, I had put it up and I haven't worked on it, but it's going to be my November morning stitch, so I'll work on it through the end of November. Once I finish this stocking, which I will get it done, I will just start on another one and have it as my morning stitch. So this is where I'm at. This is stitched on 14 count vintage country mocha, and if you go back and watch all my videos, you will see that this is number 21 that I have stitched. I started, I think, in December of 2018 stitching on them. I was hoping to get 10 of them fully finished for my grandkids for Christmas, but that's not going to happen because I cannot find any backing fabric that I like because of COVID. Stores aren't getting the fabric in. So all I have to stitch on this is finishing this part of the house. The windows are all filled in, so I just need to stitch that part of the house, and then I can move the Q-snaps. And then I'm going to move them down and do the heel and toe part, and then I'll work my way up there. I have found, because I was stitching this, and then I'd move my Q-snaps up and do the cuff part, and then do this down here. And there's a lot of fiddling stitch when you get down to the bottom of these stockings down here. And I was finding that if I kept this till the last, it's like, oh, can I just be done with this? So I've been, the last few, I've finished down here and then worked up here, and I don't get so tired of it. So this will be my November morning stitch throughout November. When I'm done with this, I'll pull out another stocking and continue on. And I am hoping 2021 I will have these fully finished for my family to use at Christmas. All right, now we're going to go on to my Hallmark stitching. So I am a sucker for Hallmark Christmas movies. Love them. I love this time of year when they come out. I watch them every Saturday night and every Sunday night. I get them on the Hallmark channel, plus I get them on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. So I get two on Saturday nights and 2 on Sunday nights. Now, I watch Hallmark from now until Christmas all week long. And sometimes I watch it while I'm sewing. I'll have my TV on in here while I'm sewing. Or if I'm cross-stitching, during the week or whatever, and there's nothing else on TV, I'll turn Hallmark on and I watch the Christmas movies. When I say I have Hallmark Christmas stitching, it's when the new movies come out on Saturday nights and Sunday nights. So what I chose this year as my Hallmark stitching, now I've done Hallmark stitching forever. I've picked something and that's what I stitch on when I watch the Hallmark movies every year. So this year I chose to do Santas and Snowmen by Prairie Schooler. Now, I started these in January and I stitched, because my intention was I was going to stitch one ornament a month. By the end of August, I would have the 8 ornaments done, and then I would have time to fully finish them before Christmas, right? Sorry, my nose itches. um, well, I did January and February, and then I just stopped stitching them. I don't know why. Something else caught my eye, and I stopped stitching them. So, let me show you what I have. So in January, I stitched this one. Someone asked me what these are stitched on. They are on 14 count Aida, and the colorway is Dirty Aida. I bought it from 123 Stitch. I had actually bought it for another project, cut the pieces for the other project, and then decided I didn't want to use this fabric for that project. I wanted to use something else. So, but they were perfect for this. So this I stitched in January. This one I stitched in February. And then I stopped. So the Hallmark movies started last Saturday, which was October 24th. So I watched the 2 new ones on Saturday night and the 2 new ones on Sunday night. So that's 8 hours of stitching time I had to work on these ornaments. Now, in the 8 hours, I did take potty breaks. 4 hours one night, 4 hours another. I took potty breaks. I let my dog out because he thinks he needs to go outside once in a while. I stopped stitching and got up and fixed me something to eat and ate it, while I was still watching the movies. So, but I have found I can do one ornament in a Friday and Saturday night. So about 7 to 8 hours of stitching is going to be my guess. And this is what I stitched last week. So this weekend, I am going to start this ornament right there. And I hope I can get him done this weekend. We will see. I'll let you know. So I'm figuring if I can do an ornament one ornament every weekend, then hopefully, plus the weekend of Thanksgiving, there's Hallmark movies every night for 9 days. So and some of those I'll end up recording some of those because that's a lot. Excuse me. That's a lot. But I'm hoping to get these when I get these done, because then Hallmark movies continue into, the new movies continue and clear out Christmas. So when I get these done, I plan on picking up the Prairie Schooler Santas. And I have actually started on this one. I think I started it in Jolly July. And then squirrel, something else caught my eye. So I got some of it done. So when I'm done with the ornaments, then I will pick up this and start working on Prairie Schooler Santas through December. And let me show you the one I started on. So this one is 2014. That's how much I got stitched on it. And I am stitching these on Joblin Aida, hand dyed 14 count in the colorway Sandcastle. And when I bought this fabric, I bought, I think, a whole yard of it from 123 Stitch. So that because I'm hoping with that 1 yard I can get all of the Santas on it. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with them when I get them done. I think they're too big for ornaments. And I don't want a prairie schooler tree anyway. So I don't know what I'll do with them when I get them done. It's going to take me a while. It's not like I'm going to have them done next year. But maybe I'll make a quilt out of them. I don't know. We'll see. But I did want to get them started. So that will be my part of my homework stitching. Then, so starting November 1st through the 9th, this is what I'm going to be stitching on. Coming to America, Women of the Mayflower. I started this. I have the box because I bought the whole kit. It came with the chart and the fabric and the floss and some other little things. Everybody has seen it. I'm not going to even worry about showing it. But so I don't have the chart to show. I bought the kit from Shepherd's Bush. And so I got it back, in the first part of September. I started it September 6th, along with everybody else in the world that started it, and worked on it through September. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I made this project bag. I ordered the panel from Brenda Gervais' website, and I like a splash of red in everything. Not a lot of red, just a splash. So I put red ribbon or red rickrack on it. I ordered, this was a thread keep. I ordered off of Etsy. It has the Mayflower on it. I took it off the ring it came on and put it on this little clasp to use it as a zipper pull. And I have all of the called for DMC. They sent me the DMC in the kit. So I have all of the DMC. And I have all of the over-dyed floss that it called for. And this charm was on the little zipper pull, and I just put it on the ring with this. So I started this September 6th with everybody else. And I had full intentions of finishing this November 9th. So that's the length of the SAL. The intentions was to be finished when they hit Plymouth Rock. And I had even taken my pattern and I divided my pattern, saying, okay, if I stitch this much this week and this much this week, and I would have it done by November 9th. My intentions were really good. This is what I got to, sorry for the strings. This is what I got to the end of November, or the end of September. I started September 6th, stitched all the names, and I got the border on both sides and this top part done. And I started down here, there's some waves and some fish. By the end of September, stitching all of those words in all of the same color, I was done. I was tired of stitching on this. I needed a break. So that's why I started my October stitching, and I thought I'll just put this away and I'll pick it back up in November. So I'm going to stitch on it from November 1st to November 9th. Because 9th is when they got to Plymouth Rock. And then I'll put it away and work on my other November stitching. And I'll pull this back out again in November because I'm hoping I can get the bottom part done by the end of November. But we'll see. If I don't, I don't. So it is stitched on 18 count vintage country mocha, which is the called for fabric. 32 or 18 count was the called for, and the vintage country mocha was called for, using one strand of floss. Yeah. And I am enjoying it. I know a lot of people weren't liking the color of the water. I don't care. I like the color of the water, and I'm just using all the floss that I have. And okay, so then my next November start is going to be, well, this is a start. There was one day I don't know what my deal was, but I was just like all over the place. I was working on something, I don't know, just wasn't feeling it. So I pulled out something else, wasn't feeling it. So I thought, well, I'm going to pull out a new start that I had kitted up. So I pulled out Tom Turkey Sampler by Heart and Hand. And I started it. I didn't get much done, but I did start it. And this is where I'm at. So I've got his tail done, and I've started on his body. And I plan on finishing, this will be finished in November. It's quick. I think I spent maybe half an hour doing that, and that was it. So I will have this done in November. Let me show you my little needle minder. I don't buy needle minders very often. I haven't bought one in years and years. But I thought, I want a turkey for my November stitching. So I actually bought 2 turkey needle minders. Anyway, there you see the back of my project. Okay, and then the other thing I plan on starting in November is Gather or Celebrate Harvest. This is also by Brenda Gervais. This was the bonus chart that came in with Women of the Mayflower. So I plan on starting this. I'm using my own DMC conversion that matches the colors on the picture. And I'm also stitching it on 14 count Vintage Country Mocha. All of my stitches for November are on Vintage Country Mocha, with the exception of the one I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so this is going to be my Thanksgiving start. I have wanted this chart since people were showing it last year at this time, and I knew it wouldn't be released until this year, but I mean, this is one chart. I says when it comes out, I'm buying it. Winter Rose Manor. And I got this in the mail yesterday along with her other 3 charts. Mr. Marshmallow, Burr, It's Cold Outside, and I don't know, the other one. It has the big Santa's or big boot with mice and stuff. Anyway, but anyway, I wanted to show this. I love this chart. I love the pink house. Okay. Now, I thought about ordering the overdyed floss for the house, but then I've seen people stitching it, and some of the floss it's almost white. To me, it looks white when they're showing the stitching of people who have stitched this. And I didn't want the white house. I wanted the pink house because it is pink in the picture. And there's a lot of white down here in the snow and then this base with the flowers. And so I wanted my house to be pink. So I went into my Victorian model threads and I pulled out a pink for the house. And then what I did is I pulled my own colors, made my own conversion to match the colors in the picture. So then I went and pulled fabric. And the fabric that is in the chart is really, it's almost like greenish gray. Excuse me. Grayish green. I'm not sure, but I wanted fabric that was this color. So I went into my stash and I didn't have any that was even close to that, but I found this one. And this one is it's called Driftwood by Color and Cotton. And it's gray, but it has a little bit of green modeling in it. And it's just, my lighting's horrible and it's not showing up. But my biggest concern is I wanted to make sure that the white showed up on this because it does have a lot of white, and the snow and up here, and I wanted it to show up. So the white I chose to use was 3865, and I did a floss toss with the floss colors, and it shows up wonderful on this fabric. The white shows up really good, wonderful. So this was going to be my choice because I wasn't going to buy any fabric. I was going to use what I had in my stash, and so this was my choice. Well, then I got thinking about it, and I thought, I really want the color of fabric that is in the picture. So this morning I got up and I experimented with RIT dye, and this is what I come up with. Now there's just a little bit of modeling in it, not much, but I used pearl gray, and I dyed it that color first. Then I pulled it out, rinsed it out, and then I put it back in my bowl, and I used I don't know what the color name was, but it was like a sage green, and I put that on it, and in it, and then I rinsed it out, and it was too green. So then I was thinking, okay, this isn't going to work. So then I decided, okay, it's not going to hurt to do anything else to it. So I dunked it in coffee. And I came out with almost the exact same color. If I hold this up to the picture, this color is the exact same color as in the picture. So once I had this all dried and ironed, I pulled out the floss and I did a floss toss on this, and it looks great. It is so pretty, and the white shows up really, really well. So now between now and Thanksgiving, I need to decide which one I'm going to go with. This one is a little bit darker. So that one almost looks blue, but it is not blue. It is definitely gray. I'm leaning towards the one that I dyed because it does. I mean, if you hold, seriously, you hold it up to the picture like this, and they look like they're the exact same color. So I'm leaning towards one I dyed, but I haven't made a final decision between the two yet. We will see. I have until Thanksgiving to make a decision, so anyway, there you have it. My October my October progress finishes, and my November plans. So my plan is to come back to you the end of November after Thanksgiving, and I will show you my progress that I made for November in my cross stitch and in my quilting, and I'll share with you my December plans. And I've already started making those. So anyway, so I won't see you before Thanksgiving. So I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. Stay safe and stay sane as much as you can in our new world we have. So yeah, anyway, I will see you. I may do a mid-November. Maybe I don't know. I have some ideas running in my head. If I get my stitching chair so I can finish putting everything into this room, I may do a sewing room tour of my new sewing room. I love the space. It is just, it's so nice to be in here and sew, and I have a TV set up so I can watch TV. I have a huge window that I can see into my backyard, and it's been fun just to sit here and watch the neighbors' leaves fall into my yard. I have one tree, and because we have done some landscaping, and so we're just slowly getting things back up into our yard. And so we had one tree planted, and we planted it like 2 years ago, I think. was doing really well, and then this summer it just, I don't know what happened, but it just wasn't doing good. And we talked to the nursery and we tried some different things, but this fall I think um, it has, I think it died. So I think we're going to end up having to figure out something with that tree for next spring. Um, but yeah, so I sit in front of this window and I can see all the neighbors' leaves fall in my yard. But and I can't wait till this winter to sit here and sew at my sewing machine and watch it snow. And yeah, I love it. And then when I get my stitching chair, I can sit in my stitching chair and just watch it snow outside and that. So anyway, that being said, I might, if I get, when I get it, they said sometime in November it should be in, because they had to order it. They aren't letting any of the floor models um, be sold, because if they did, because furniture is on such a backlog right now because of COVID, that if they did, they would have an empty showcase. And so, um, yeah, so I had to order it, and they said probably mid-November. So if I get it, I will do a stitching room, my sewing room tour. So I'll probably do, no matter what, I'll come back and do just a short video in the middle of November on something. It won't be any updates on my cross stitch, but it will be um, maybe the rest of my stitching that I have in my drawer that I've finished over the years that hasn't fully finished. Or I'm thinking about doing a quilt. Tell me if you're interested in this. A quilt parade of sorts. And I thought maybe I could do two different ones. Do one with all my finished quilts that I have, and then maybe do another one with the quilt tops that I've finished, and then some quilts that are in progress. So let me know if you would like something like that. So, and if you have any questions or comments, I love reading your comments. Sometimes I try to answer them, but I read them on my phone, and sometimes I miss them, or sometimes it's just really hard on my phone to answer, and so um, I have to come back to my computer to make sure I don't miss any. So but I give everybody a heart, and so just to let you know I have read them. And if you haven't got a heart, it's just because they haven't come through on my phone, and I've missed them on my computer. So anyway, if you have any comments, just let me know, and I will see you at the end of November. Bye.